Okay, so let's just now take a closer look at the issues at stake here. We're joined live from our Moscow offices by Chris Weafer, chief strategist from Uralsib Financial. So, first of all, what has the reaction been in the markets? Is there a sense at all that there will be much economic, political fallout from these attacks?
No, not at all. We saw the markets actually moved up yesterday. Investors were much more focused on global events, on the global markets rally which took place yesterday, and higher commodity prices. So for now, at least, investors are taking the view that these are one-off events and will have a negligible impact on either the economy or political situation.
But presumably that sentiment would change if this proved to be the first of a spate of attacks as we've seen in the past.
Well, I think that certainly is the case, and we've seen that in other countries around the world that suffer regular bouts of terrorism and instability. Certainly that would be reflected in the market. But as I say, for now, we expect the markets to open strongly again this morning on the back of higher commodity prices, $80 oil, and higher Asian markets. So that's the focus for investors, at least for the moment.
Now, if I can just ask you to put your political hat on, attacks of this nature are often thought to have originated from separatist fighters in the Caucasus region. What are your initial thoughts on who might have been behind this attack?
Well, all we can go on is obviously what's been said by the officials yesterday, and certainly the statements that they've made all point to the source of terrorism from that region. Now, obviously, there might be some fallout from this, in the next coming months, because I think it's fair to say that most people in Russia, certainly in Moscow, St. Petersburg, had kind of almost forgotten about these issues, had assumed that this was kind of bad past history, and now to have had a reminder of this again in such a way, I think people might start to reflect more on what the government have been saying and what the issues are. So there could be still some fallout from this.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned perceptions, and that's key here, isn't it? Because I think Moscow's metro system has been attacked some 4 times since 2000, so perhaps one could say that the economy has grown resilient to this sort of thing. But what about other threats to foreign investment? Not just the lack of security, but also we heard this point raised in the report that we just aired about the extent of bureaucracy corruption in the country.
Yeah, these are certainly major underlying issues in Russia, and as your previous speaker said, President Medvedev has specifically targeted these issues during his presidency. Now, there's been relatively little progress made during the past 2 years since he became president, because of course he had immediately ran into, if you like, firefighting in the economy and dealing with the economic crisis. So we haven't actually had a great deal of progress in tackling bureaucracy or corruption in the last couple of years. They remain sort of key parts of the agenda, but I think it's certainly fair to say that investors are waiting to see for some evidence.
And let me just quickly ask you, very briefly, how might these attacks affect Putin and Medvedev's own standing, given a lot of people are saying that actually they're questioning whether the Russian security forces have the capability to deal with this sort of thing, that perhaps the FSB should have seen this coming?
Well, I think it's we don't really expect any major impact on the support for either the President or the Prime Minister at this stage. Only if these events were to be extended and we're to have a series of them, then we would probably start seeing reflected in the ratings. But for now, public support for both President Medvedev and Prime Minister Putin remains very strong. It certainly it's a changeable situation. We need to see what happens over the next couple of months. But for right now, it's very stable.
Chris Weafer, thanks so much.